Alright guys, so what we have here today is the Yukon Gear XL Bowie knife. First I'm going to talk about it a little bit and then we're going to try it out outside. The overall weight of the knife is 19 ounces. It's 545 grams. It's a pretty heavy knife. The blade length is 8.5 inches, just 22 centimeters. The overall length is 14 inches, that's 36 centimeters. The blade's made of 440 stainless steel. The tip isn't double-edged, which usually Bowie knives are. Take a look at it. It's probably can't tell, but it's flat on one side. It has a rosewood finish handle. It isn't full tang. It has a lanyard hole that's right here, and then finally it comes with a nylon sheath. Take a look at it a little bit more. Okay, so I bought this knife at Canadian Tire. The regular price on the knife was $39.99. It was on sale for 55% off, so I got it for $17.99. Overall, it's a good knife and it's at a great price. I bought the knife because I have a lot of knives, but I don't have any knives that are this big. And when I was at Canadian Tire, it caught my attention just because of its size. So just went there to look at knives, and then this is the one that I saw. It's the biggest one that they had at the time. Knife is a pretty good knife. It has a lot of uses. It could be used for home defense or self-defense, which from what I know, that was the main reason these knives were designed. Just because people had to go out and they wanted to carry something that they'd be able to defend themselves if it wasn't a firearm. I'm not encouraging you to hurt people, but if I absolutely had to use a knife to save my life in an emergency self-defense situation, I would have a knife that was this size, nothing smaller. Smaller knives, you would have to get just a little bit closer to your attacker. And then with smaller knives, it's much more difficult, and sometimes it's even impossible to use in a slashing motion. Now, because of the size of the blade of this knife, you can just swing it like a machete or an axe. And with a large knife, you have a bigger blade, so you would get a lot more penetration. And an attacker would probably back off if they saw a knife like this. Another thing is, if you're out in the woods and you want to carry a knife, you want something this size just because for self-defense against any animals. The main purpose of the knife is definitely not for it to be thrown. It's not a very durable knife. It's a budget knife. Now, if you have a soft target like one of those archery targets or a hay bale or a sandbag or something similar, it won't be a problem. It'll stick well and it'll stay strong. But if you continuously throw it at a tree or something hard, eventually, if it lands the wrong way, its handle's probably going to break off, or the blade will probably break off. You got to keep in mind the price of the knife. The regular price is under 40 bucks, and it's a 14-inch knife. It's a pretty decent price for a knife this size. Something similar from another company would cost you anywhere from $110 to $400 and up, depending on the knife and the brand. I only paid $17.99 for it, so when you look at the price, you can't really complain about its quality. It's not going to take as much of a beating as some of the more expensive knives will, but it's going to get the job done, and you really get what you paid for. This knife would also make a really good decoration piece as well. If you're not going to actually use the knife, it's a really good looking knife. You want to hang it up somewhere, put it in display or something, that's a good idea too. The more obvious thing you could use this knife for is for camping or anything outdoors, like cutting branches, cutting small pieces of wood, scraping wood, clearing brush when you're going through the forest and other things like that. Again, you can't be too rough with it. You might have some trouble hacking into large pieces of wood continuously. It might not withstand the pressure, so be careful. And if you guys want a very durable knife that can withstand lots of abuse and last a lifetime, you probably don't want to buy this knife. But if you want a large knife that's a good self-defense tool, a knife for normal usage, a good looking knife at a good price, I'd really recommend getting this knife. You won't be disappointed. Okay, so now that we're done talking about the knife, we're actually going to go outside and try it out. Here's one more quick look before we go outside. Just a quick look around of the knife. Alright, so we set up some bottles. Let's see what we can do. Alright, so we got through 3 bottles. Okay, so let's see what happens when we throw it. Everything's still good, but broke the board in half. Knife is still okay. Handle isn't broken. Okay, let's cut into this piece of wood. Cool. That would have been a lot more quicker if the blade was sharpened. Blade still okay.